heard, if you watch many videos that shows nomad view, it talks about the wind. The wind can get horrendous, and it did. The first night we had thunderstorms, we had winds, sustained winds up around 60 miles an hour. It was blowing Jeff and Lori slide in it. Hey, like the wind, baby.
I could do without all this wind. Thank you very much.
How about the rain?
I could do without the rain too. It's been raining here a lot. They don't need any more rain right now.
I wouldn't think so. They definitely don't need any more severe thunderstorms.
No.
Okay.
No tornado warnings.
I gotta go back to my video.
Okay, enjoy.
We can always stay a little longer. We don't have a plan.
Hey everybody, welcome to our next exit, and welcome to the Badlands in South Dakota. It's been 2 weeks we spent at the Badlands, and it's like two totally different experiences. The first week we had Jeff and Lori and Joe and Pearl and I, and it was just thunderstorms and rain and wind. Oh my, the wind. And then Jeff and Lori had some kind of leak in their engine, and the weather was so bad they loaded up and went to Rapid City, number one, to figure out what was leaking in their engine to get it fixed. And it turned out to be a freeze plug of all things, and it cost them $800 to have it done. They went to a Cummings shop, but they're back whole, so they were gone 5 days. They came back to join us. Joe, he's kind of weathered it better than anybody. He hadn't had much problems, and his inverter quit work. It would work just fine and then shut off for no reason and then start working again. It quit doing that. It did it 4 or 5 times over a couple of days. So now he's just going forward hoping that it's a non-event. But we've had all kind of problems. The video you saw me editing earlier, I just barely got that out. My computer almost totally shut down. It would overheat and then just get that blue screen where it just locks up. So, Joe the computer guy, I've always wondered, how did you get your nickname? Joe graciously volunteered to show me what was wrong with my computer. And then he stepped up and said, oh, that's easy, I can do that. So we got this little thing from Europe somewhere. And we're going to make my computer quit crying. Hopefully. Well, Joe, his nickname is Computer Joe, and he earned that nickname by years of experience owning a computer repair and sales business. A couple of them, I think. So we ordered some new fans, got them in, and it's working like a charm. So thanks very much, Joe. But then our slide topper, as we showed you in the first video, and if you haven't seen that first video, I'll put a link up there. Go back and watch it to kind of get caught up. It's got some beautiful drone footage and stuff, but the wind was so bad, it blew our slide topper out of our big slide. And so I had to order a new bearing on the one end, and the spring and stuff's still good. We got it back going. It ripped the topper, and so I put some of that tape, a Turnabond or whatever it's called, that white tape that just, once you put it on, it's there forever. We'll see how long that lasts. And then the biggest problem we had was our Aqua Hot. Our Aqua Hot controls our hot water, it heats our coach, it just is a big part of it, and it's very expensive. It's wonderful when it works, but when it goes out, it's very complicated. So the first thing I did is pulled out the circuit board behind that control panel, and I could see a burn spot where something was burned up in there. So that has to be a big part of the problem. And luckily I had a spare circuit board. Spent $500 for that thing about 3 years ago and didn't actually need it. So looks like it came in handy this time. And I had a rebuilding kit. And so I put in the new nozzle, I put in the new circuit board. It still didn't work, but I could get it to fire up if I would short across the coil with one of my portable power stations. And so I can temporarily get it to run until it heats up, and then it will shut off. But that takes care of a shower. That's more than enough for a shower. And we ordered a flame sensor that I think is the remaining culprit, and that should be here in just a couple days. And so hopefully we got that fixed. It smokes really bad because it pumped out about 15 gallons of diesel out through the exhaust. And we just about got all that burned off, so we're in a much better place.
This
So after Jeff and Lori got their engine fixed, they came back out, but the wind was still blowing and it's really cold. And they decided they're going to go ahead and go into Rapid City and just spend the rest of the week there, and then they'll meet us up in Sheridan Lake, which is where we're at now. And we had another guy just parked right across the ravine from us, this guy up here, and you can see he wished he had went with Jeff and Lori, because you can see this ravine down in here. He had a barbecue hooked up to his propane on his RV. The wind blew it loose, busted the line, went down the cliff, and then down over here to this ravine. First he said it's too far down, he couldn't go get it. But as a typical 35-year-old in good health, he went to town, got him a couple of ropes, tied it onto his truck, threw the ropes down, rappelled down, got his barbecue and brought it back up. Then he went to Rapid City, same as Jeff and Lori. So I don't blame them for leaving at all. But the same day they left, the weather totally warmed up. The wind went away. It stayed in the 70s. And Joe and Pearl and I had a wonderful time exploring the Badlands. So let me show you a couple of things that we found and what we did. So the plan is to boondock in the National Forest, and we've got to find the places where you're allowed to boondock. So we went and got us a motor vehicle use map from the local ranger station, and then we downloaded all the maps of the forest where we plan on going so that we'll have access to them offline. And these downloaded maps have a GPS function that really helps on finding the forest. So we decided to go practice using the maps and seeing if we could find the different boondocking spots and some forest roads and see how that works. So we picked Forest Road 7149. It has dispersed camping, and this is obviously not a place where we want to camp, and we obviously couldn't get through it with our motorhomes or even our car. But it does kind of show us how these maps work, how the GPS functions works, and we think we're going to find some, we hope we're going to find some pretty neat campgrounds up in the National Forest over by Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons once we get over there in a couple of weeks. On the way back, we got to drive through the Badlands National Park, and it is just so awesome seeing all of these, whatever you call these mountains or hills, down at ground level. We ran across a herd of bull buffaloes, and this one big old monster was kind of obviously the king of the pack. And these bighorn sheep were right beside the road, so we stopped to film them, and they come charging at us. Joe's the one that got that video. He's pretty fast on that record button. And then on the eastern side of the Badlands Parks, they got this prairie house that was built something like 1906. Now this is real boondocking. It's built into the side of a hill there, and they had a wooden floor in the living room, but a dirt floor in the kitchen. They got a barn, they got all their, everything set up. You can imagine it was functional, but they said of all these Homestead Act claims that people did, within just a few years, 90% of the people had given up and gone back. At least when we boondock, we got wheels on our house and we can drive on down to the next forest. That had to be a tough life, coming across the plains in a covered wagon and building your own house like this. It's even got a dirt floor there in the kitchen. It makes you really appreciate these RVs that we have these days to go and pretend boondocking. And then the last thing we did is we went into Wall Drug and checked that out. That's pretty famous. There's hundreds of billboards all over for about 100 miles out. You see billboards everywhere.
It was a warm wind. It wasn't really that cold.
It wasn't a warm wind. It was cold.
So you may not have saw our first video on Nomad View, but in that one there was a couple, Mike and Stacy, that recognized Pearl's voice as we was walking along the ridge, and they said, "That's Pearl." And we got to visit with them a few minutes, and we just thought that was so cool having some of our viewers right here at Nomad View the same time we were there. Well, even more unique, got a comment from that video from a couple named Eric and Jeannie. Now they're not Next Exit subscribers, but they've got friends that are. And they're from way back in Long Island. They're up in this RV right up here. They left a comment saying, "Hey, we're Eric and Jeannie. We're parked right beside you." And some friends of ours back in Long Island just emailed us and said, "Hey, we watched Next Exit and they're parked up there right beside you. Have you met them yet?" And so we went over and visited with them, and they came over and sat around the campfire. It's just so amazing how this RV community makes it such a small world, that we're here, this old couple from Nevada and Arizona, and somebody back in Long Island that we've never been to, recognized our video and told her had friends parked right next to us. It's just an amazing world, and we just love it. We're just now wrapping up our stay at the Badlands. We're going to head over to a full hookup site in Hill City and get some fresh water, dump our tanks. I think Joe's going to barbecue some T-bone steaks and get ready for another adventure and meet up with Jeff and Lori at Sheridan Lakes. So that's where we're headed next. And it's probably about time to wrap this video up. So until we see you guys again next week at Sheridan Lakes, keep the wheels rolling, stay safe. We'll see you at the next exit. Bye-bye, folks.
We've come a long way. Don't ever let it change.
Turn left on Sheridan Shore.
No matter where we go, no matter where it ends, as long as I've got you, I'm not letting it fade. Don't go looking for reasons, asking for change. We got good things coming. Put your faith in me. So keep on going. We got good things coming our way.